Welcome back to Park Place Lanes, where we're rejoining the action in the fifth box of this match between Norm Pelletier's team and the tournament-leading K.O.D team led by Holbrook. Joanne Rosano is back up on lane 22, and Kim Pelletier is on lane 21. Joanne leaves, knocks down 6 and leaves the 2, 4, 6, 10 with a piece of wood. See what she can do with this. Meanwhile, Kim punches out the spread eagle off a good solid head pin hit. A lot of spread eagles in this match. Joanne Rosano with a great shot right there. She cuts the 2-pin across to take out that 6-10. And meanwhile, Kim Pelletier almost converted the spread eagle, utilizing a piece of wood behind the 2-pin. She got everything but the 4. That wood went over and took out the whole right side. And she takes a 10 box. Having a look at the replay here, you can see that Joanne makes a great shot here. She cuts the 2-pin. It just touches that piece of wood, and that might have directed it a little bit more straight across, and it went in front of the 6-10, came off the sidewall and took out the 6-10. That's a spare in the fifth, and she will have 5 on that spare, giving her 46 through the fifth. Meanwhile, Kim with almost the same shot, but she has 4, just taking out the 2, 4, 7, 10. And Joanne going by the head pin. She'll still have 3 pins remaining. Kim with a nice bid on that spare. Gives it a great try, gets everything but the 8-pin. Over there on lanes 23 and 24, you can see the team that's captained by Jim Miner is going up against Lori Rossetti's team, which is in second place, and that's a heated match. A lot of spares and strikes going up there. Lynn Thompson up in the fifth box against Beth Powers on lane 21, and another spread eagle for Beth Powers. Lynn Thompson with a makeable shot here, 1, 2, 7, 10 with some wood, but she goes by the head pin. So both bowlers will be open in the fifth. And you can see that strike by Aaron Spiller over in the other match on lane 23. Lynn Thompson with a 10 box, that gives her 71 through 5. Lynn lives out of, she lives in Weymouth and bowls out of Park Place in the Sunday Pro League. And there is a strike by Lynn Thompson. Nice 1-3 pocket hit. And Beth with a 4 drop. Difficultly the 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9. Gonna have to hit that cluster of 4. And she goes through the middle, so she's gonna need an out here. Try and wiggle out of this box with as many as she can. And pretty good ball, but only got 3, so that's a 7 box for Beth Powers. She's got 71 or 61 through 6. To Lynn Thompson's 81 with the ball. Now Gary and Jeff come back up. Gary is working to fill that strike that he had in the fourth, and he misses the head pin, but comes up with a pretty good break, leaving just 3. He's got the 1, 4, and 7 with a nice piece of wood behind the head pin and to the left. And Jeff hits the head pin solid, leaves the big 5. So that's a 5 drop on the spare that he recorded in the fourth. Gary makes the spare in the fifth. I think he just missed the head pin, but utilized that piece of wood to make the spare. And a nice bid by Jeff there on the big 5. He almost takes them all, but the 7 pin remains. Jeff with a 10 in the 5th. So Gary Santora working on that spare. And he drops 5. That gives him 64 through the 5th. Jeff Bugia with a light head pin hit, and he's got 6. Make a little spare leave. 2, 4, 5, 9. And great shot by Gary Santora on that 5-pin leave. He split the 1-3, and I think he might have gotten a little bit of help from a piece of wood back there in taking out the 4-7. Jeff records an 8-box. And let's take another glance at that spare by Gary. You can see takes it out very quickly with a nice 1-3 pocket hit. And that wood that was in back that was originally the 9-pin really did a nice job on the 4-7. That brings up Dave Dupuis and Chris Powers. Dave is working on a strike and Chris is working on a spare. They recorded in the 4th frame. Dave hits the head pin solid 1-3 pocket, a little too solid, and leaves 5 with a nice piece of wood behind the 5 that might help him make it. Meanwhile, Chris Powers with 7, leaving the 4, 5, 8 with a piece of wood. That's going to be a 7 on the strike for Dave Dupuis. And a spare for Chris Powers. Got some nice sidewall action using the wood. And that's what I was talking about with the wood that Dave Dupuis had. It helped him make the 10-box there. Taking a look at the replay of the shot by Chris Powers, you can see that that wood that's in front of the 4-pin directs the ball into the 5, and the 5-pin comes flying off the wall and goes all the way back to take out the 4-8. So that's 3 consecutive marks by Chris Powers. And there's a strike by Dave Dupuis. Dave is one of those guys who can just throw strikes out of nowhere. He can appear to be having kind of a slow day, but then all of a sudden he'll throw a 3 or a 4-bagger just out of the blue. Done that numerous times on the Western New England tour. And meanwhile, another spare by Chris Powers. Dropped 9 and picked up that 7-pin. Here's a look at the strike by Dave Dupuis. Really excellent 1-2 pocket hit, and that's pretty authoritative right there. That's a strike in the 6th. That brings back Craig Holbrook and Norm Pelletier. Craig misses the head pin, but by the time he's done, he's got 9, everything but the head pin, and some wood down there behind it. It's probably frozen on the head pin. In any case, he just nails the head pin, so he's got that spare in the 5th. Norm Pelletier with a difficult lead. Three, 6, 7, 9, 10 with some wood, and he's not able to get anything on the second ball, so he's gonna need an out here. Norm and Kim, as I mentioned, are from Peabody, and they bowl out of Metro Bowl in Peabody, and also they're in the Sunday Pro League here at Park Place, and I believe that Norm also bowls in the Friday Night Pro League representing Academy Lanes. Craig with a punch through the middle for 3, that gives him 49 after 5. Norm with a 9 drop, leaving the 2-pin. Let's see what Craig can do with this split. Work his way out. Well, he punches just the 4-pin, so he's still got 6 pins to negotiate on the 3rd ball. Norm is all over that 2-pin for the spare. And Craig will take a 7 in the 6th box for 56 through 6. That brings Joanne Rosano and Kim Pelletier back up for their 7th and 8th. Kim with a good ball, but difficult split out of it. She was not rewarded for that good shot. She's got the 2, 4, 6, 10, which is the same spare that Joanne Rosano converted a couple of boxes ago, but she doesn't have any help, so this is going to be a pretty tough shot. Meanwhile, Joanne with a 6 drop. And at this point, Kim takes out the 2 and 4, leaving the 6-10. Joanne Rosano working on the 3, 5, 9, 10, and the 3-pin comes off the wall and takes out the 5, 9, and 10. That's a nice spare by Joanne. Kim puts an 8 on the board in the 7th box for 76. And now she fires in the 8th frame. Missing the head pin, but leaving the 4 horsemen on the right side. Joanne Rosano working on that spare, and she throws a nice ball, but gets a tough leave out of it. It's a 6 fill, but she's got the 5, 6, 9, and 10. That's a really difficult spare. And Kim Pelletier goes just by the head pin and almost converts the spare using that wood behind the head pin, but the 10 pin refused to go, so she's going to be open, and Joanne Rosano will also be open in the 8th. Kim takes a 10. Meanwhile, things are really heating up over on lanes 23 and 24 in that match between Jim Miner's team and Laurie Rossetti. They make a lot of noise over there. A couple of teams that have done well this weekend. Beth Powers with an 8 drop, leaving the 5, 9, and a piece of wood that's in front of the 9. Let's see what happens here. Well, she just went a little bit too far to the right, and the wood directed the ball in between the 5, 9. She didn't get either one. Lynn Thompson with a spare in the 7th frame on top of that strike that she had in the 6th. That'll give her 91 through 6, and then a spare up in the 7th. Beth Powers in the 7th drops 8. Wow, and Lynn punches out the 2 pin on that spare, just giving her a 1 drop for 102 through 7. And Beth Powers with a nice bid, but she punches the 3 off the 6. And there's a great shot by Lynn Thompson for the spare, converting that 1 drop, and her teammates congratulating her for that shot. Let's have another look at that spare by Lynn. You'll see that she essentially throws a strike ball right here, very solid in the 1-3 pocket. And the 8 pin is the last one to go. That's a terrific shot right there to recover, bounce back from that 1 drop. And nice reaction there. Very enthusiastic team. So Jeff and Gary are back up. Jeff Ujia on lane 22 and Gary Santora on 21 working on a spare. And Gary just takes out 2, just takes out the 6 and 9. Meanwhile, Jeff was a little off target, but got a nice break there, leaving a makeable spare lead, but wasn't able to do it. So both bowlers will be open in the 7th. Jeff takes a 9 box. And Gary goes through the middle for 5. So he's got 81 through 7 to Jeff's 63. And there Jeff drops 6, leaving the 1, 2, 4, 9. Pretty difficult spare. Gary Santora solid in the 1-3 pocket, but leaves a really tough shot. The 8, 9, 10 with a piece of wood back there. And there's a nice spare by Jeff, taking down that 1, 2, 4, 9. The 2-pin glanced off the 4 and went back to get the 9. So what Gary can do with this split. Wow. He gets the 8 and 10, but leaves the 9. That would almost not seem possible, but that's what he did. And flew right in front of the 9 and took the 10 out. Gary will take a 10 for a 91. And here's a look at the spare by Jeff. You can see that the 2-pin rather, gets pushed back into the 4, and then it bounces off the 4 and takes out the 9. So that's a nice spare by Jeff Bugia in the 8th. Now Chris Powers is back up on the right lane with Dave Dupuis on the left lane. Dave filling in that strike that he had in the 6th. Dave drops 6, leaving the diamond on the right side. Chris Powers, as I mentioned, bowls out of Metro Bowl in Peabody, as does Beth Powers. And there's a spare by Dave Dupuis. He covers that diamond very nicely. That'll be a 9 box by Chris. The ball went in the gutter and bounced out and took out the 7. So Chris will have 99 through 7. And in the 8th, he has a very, very light 1-2 pocket hit, dropping 6. Dave Dupuis with 8 on the spare, leaving a 3-5. Good spare leave to make his 3rd mark in a row. And Chris with a nice try, but he's not quite able to take out that 7-pin. Dave, on the other hand, records another spare in the 8th, has no trouble with that 3-5, and it'll be a 10 for Chris Powers. Chris has 109 through the 8th, and Dave will have 103 with the ball working. Norm Pelletier goes well by the head pin out on the left quarter, but gets a nice break and has an 8 drop. But he's got the 1-5, which is a tough spare. He's got to either punch it, hit the head pin solid in the middle and punch it straight back, or he can hit the head pin really light and take the 5 off the wall. You know, Pelletier-Holbrook drops 7. Yeah, Norm with a nice try on the 1-5. He almost got it off the wall, but the head pin went in front of the 5 instead of taking it. And Craig tries to get that 3, 4, 6, but doesn't quite take out the 4. So it'll be a 10 box for Norm Pelletier. And Craig will also have a 10 in the 7th. Craig having kind of a quiet match here with 66 through 7. But since Lynn Thompson and Dave Dupuis are bowling so well, the team is still leading. As this team seems to have a way of, when one bowler gets quiet, the others heat up. So that's kind of what you need to win a team event. Norm with a 5 drop, and then he goes by the head pin, so he's still got the 4 horsemen. Craig with 7 drop, and then punches out 1 more. Norm will take an 8 box, and Craig will take 9. So with 2 boxes remaining, the score is 461, that should say, for Pelletier-Holbrook's team, with Norm Pelletier's team at 439.